You're listening to Zack, founder of WorkingJoesRoundtable.com, and this is the Working Joes Podcast. Hey guys, this is Zack of WorkingJoesRoundtable.com, and this is the Working Joes Podcast. And today I'm talking about one of my old friends, good old buddy. We go back till I first started in the business. It's a little relay called the 9340. It's a double pole, double throw relay with a 24 volt coil. And how this relay works is you have your coil, which you have your control wiring going to, and it's 24 volts, like I said. Now this 24 volt coil is going to control higher voltages most of the time. Sometimes it's low voltage too. So you'll put, let's say you're trying to control a fan. You have two sides of this coil. You'll have a hot side and your common side. So if you're controlling a fan, most of the time that's your G wire, then you put your common. If you're controlling something to do with the compressor contactor, it'll be a Y wire or yellow wire and a common. You can pretty much do whatever you want with it. Now your control voltage is going to switch on two poles, and that means you have two different wires coming in that are normally closed between the other side terminals, and then you have a set of normally open terminals too. And it's going to switch both of those whenever you energize it. So it gives you a chance to switch two different poles. That's why you have double pole, double throw, instead of the single pole, double throw, which is just one wire coming in with a normally open and normally closed switch. Another great relay we like to use is the single pole normally open, single pole normally closed. So you have one of each. It gets kind of confusing, but a lot of you know what the 9340 relay is all about. I have two of them on my truck at all times to use for whatever I need them for. Because if you have two of those, typically you don't need any other relay except for maybe a contactor because it can handle heavier amperage, and a sequencer if you're working on electric heat. Some people use contactors for electric heat too, but I carry sequencers because where I come from, we have electric furnaces that have 15 kW banks and 20 kW banks of electric heat. So it's nice to have the full set where you have the two double stacks, which is 20 kW. And by double stack, I mean the sequencer has two rows, 5 kW on each row. Those of you who worked on electric furnaces know what I mean. But the 9340, I have a fear, and it's not a fear, it's how things go. Things change, things evolve. We've been talking about inverters, and that's a far cry from old single-stage equipment from back in the day. Hell, I just left a water source unit, a Florida heat pump. I was checking it out. It would have been nice if the place had water, but I was just checking it over. And, very simple machine, single-stage, contactor, capacitor. Didn't really need much in there. Didn't need a defrost controller because with water source. Real simple stuff. And this was an old machine, but back in the day that was fancy stuff. That was top of the line stuff. So now we fast forward it to 2017. We have all these inverters out, and our old technology is going away. Now that's good and bad. And I tried to accept some of it. I wasn't very accepting of it in the years past. I thought we should stick with the simplest possible stuff, and I still do. But I know inverters are here to stay, and I'm hoping that inverters are as good as all the other guys keep telling me they are, that they're reliable, that having the extra safeties on there, the boards monitor all these functions. Now I have a feeling it's going to cause some nuisance issues and nuisance service calls, because whenever you're monitoring more functions, there's more probability that you're going to have an issue and be alerted to it. Instead of an old system that just keeps on running and running even though it's got some kind of issue, because there's no sort of safety and there's no board monitoring it to indicate that there's an issue. So hopefully, even though we have a few more service calls, we have longer life equipment, more efficient. Here's for hoping. I'll cross my fingers, you guys cross your fingers, and I'm sure we'll be great. But moving to this new era, we're going to leave behind some of the things that I really love, which is going to be the simplicity of the machine and the versatility of repair. You can go into an older machine and think about all the problems you would have. Let's talk about a heat pump. We walk up to a heat pump. We have, could be a bad compressor, could be a bad fan motor, could be a bad defrost board, could be a bad contactor, could be a bad capacitor. All those things could be bad, and most of that stuff Defrost boards are a little bit more specific, but you can carry a few different defrost boards for most situations. You got all that stuff on the truck. You can just go over there and get it, depending on what machine you have. I mean, the compressor's not going to be on the truck, and you might have to use an aftermarket fan motor, but usually you have all that stuff on your truck. That's really easy and really convenient, and you can get the homeowner up and going, and they're happy, they're waving to you, they're giving you free cookies, they're baking you dinner, whatever. It's a perfect world, whatever. But when you got this new stuff coming out, it's not like you're going to be carrying communicating boards on your truck. Well, you might if you're dealer-specific service. Like let's say you are a Trane dealer and you carry Trane parts on your truck. That's a little bit different. But I'm a general-purpose HVAC man myself. I don't carry any specific brand parts on my truck, even though I sell ICP. I carry just random stuff that I think is most probable that I will run into on my truck. Now, I do have ICP defrost boards on my truck just because they fit on Carrier and Brian and all sorts of stuff. But that's a little bit different. We're going to come up to these service calls in the future, and you're going to have a very specific board you need, a very specific motor. You're not going to be able to slap some kind of ECM fan motor on another ECM fan motor. Sure, they'll probably come up with some general-purpose replacements as time goes by. But think about all these brushless, inverter-driven condenser fan motors. I mean, they're driven by the control boards. You're not going to be able to put a non-OEM part in there. There's going to be a lot of phone calls to supply houses. And right now, I don't know about you guys, but the supply houses don't have a healthy supply of these parts. Of course, as time goes by, they probably will. Because with so many inverters cropping up in the market, eventually that's going to be what their inventory is sort of built for. But in the time being, we're kind of left on a little desert island calling people. Even with things that have been around for a while. Think about X13 motors. When you have to replace one and, you can cowboy up and put a PSC motor in. But if it's under warranty, you're going to be getting the warranty X13 motor. I mean, the Cowboys do that too. We're not bad Cowboys. We're good Cowboys. So if you're calling, say you're calling East Coast, you're calling Johnstone, you're calling Carrier Enterprise, you're looking for an X13 motor, I find that about half the time they don't have it. And X13 motors have been around for several years now. I mean, we're talking about 10 years of them being a fixture in the HVAC market, and they don't have them half the time still. That's not good. Some supply houses are better than others, of course. And some populations in different areas are probably better than others. Like a big city probably has more stuff than a small town like I live in. So there's good and bad to it. I'm actually going to try to embrace it more. I'll take a page from John Ibershir's book. He's embracing Nordyne microchannel with open arms. That might be an exaggeration. But I'm going to try to embrace some of this new technology. I've already taken some of the courses to learn about it. I ran into this geothermal today. It must be a sign from above because I never see geothermals. Once every several years I'll see a geothermal unit. But I was excited by that. I want to get into something new. I've been around for 20 years now, and I'm not saying that because it means something intelligence-wise or experience-wise. I'm just saying I've been around single-stage heat pumps for a long time. It's time to get exposed to something new. So I look forward to that, guys, and I'm going to take you guys along for the ride because I'm excited about it. I have an inverter job quoted out. The guy's supposed to let me know today. We recorded a podcast last night for the Cowboys of HVAC. We're all giddy about it. You're going to hear about that if you haven't already. The Cowboys of HVAC episode 6. We're going to talk a little bit about the jobs we've quoted. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be very exciting. Very exciting. It's going to be huge. It's going to be fantastic. So I hope you guys stay tuned and listen in because you have been listening to the Working Joe's podcast. And I will see you guys on the next one. Mallory, guess what?
What?
Guess what?
What?
People should tune in to the Cowboys of HVAC podcast on YouTube. That's our YouTube channel. You know why?
Why?
Well, first of all, because we're extremely funny and great. But the second thing is we're giving something away. Do you know what we're giving away?
What? What?
Testo digital gauges.
Is that like something big?
Go to the Cowboys of HVAC podcast on YouTube to enter to win one of 2 available Testo 550 gauge sets.